Right now, without you feeling a single thing, you are moving, not walking, not driving, not flying. You are hurtling through space at roughly 1,600 kilometers per hour. The ground beneath your feet is spinning so fast that the surface at the equator covers more distance in 1 second than most people walk in 10 minutes. You have never felt it, not once. And that invisibility is exactly what makes the next question so unsettling. What would happen if it stopped? Not forever, not for an hour, just 5 seconds. 5 seconds sounds almost trivial. A breath, a heartbeat, the time it takes to read a single sentence, but 5 seconds without Earth's rotation would be enough to unleash forces that dwarf every natural disaster in recorded human history simultaneously across the entire planet. To understand why, you first need to understand what rotation is actually doing to your world right now. Earth's spin is not just movement. It is a structural force. It keeps the atmosphere pressed against the planet. It shapes ocean currents and wind patterns. It has physically deformed the planet itself, pulling the equator outward into a bulge 43 kilometers wider than the poles. That bulge is not a curiosity. It is the result of hundreds of millions of years of continuous spinning, written into the geology of the Earth. Now, picture everything that is not fused to the planet's core. The oceans, the atmosphere, you. All of it is moving at the same speed as the surface beneath it. At the equator, that speed is 1,600 kilometers per hour. Closer to the poles, it slows, but it never stops. This shared velocity is so ancient and so constant that your body has never registered it. Your inner ear cannot feel it. Your senses have no reference for it. You exist inside this movement the way a fish exists inside water. And then, for 5 seconds, the crust stops. Everything else does not. This is Newton's first law, and it does not make exceptions. An object in motion stays in motion unless a force stops it. The moment Earth's surface halts, the oceans, the air, and everything standing on the ground continues traveling eastward at whatever speed it was already moving. The atmosphere alone weighs 5 quadrillion tons. Every kilogram of it is suddenly moving independently of the surface beneath it. The result would not be a strong wind. It would be a planetary shockwave, a wall of compressed air sweeping west to east at velocities that would make the most powerful hurricanes in history look calm. Structures would not bend. They would be removed. The oceans would behave even more dramatically. Water has no attachment to land, no roots, no foundation. The moment the crust stops, trillions of tons of seawater continue their eastward momentum, climbing over coastlines with a force that would make every tsunami ever recorded seem minor by comparison. Eastern coastlines of continents would be consumed within seconds. The surges would travel inland for distances that today sit hundreds of kilometers from any shore. And then, before the full force of either catastrophe could reach its peak, the spin returns. 5 seconds is not long enough to fully transfer that momentum. It is long enough to launch it. The returning rotation would collide with everything still moving in the opposite direction. Atmospheric shockwaves would meet countercurrents. Ocean surges would be struck by returning forces, creating interference patterns across entire ocean basins, chaotic and unpredictable, lasting not for hours but for weeks. Geologically, 5 seconds is nothing. Civilizationally, it would be close to everything. But here is where the story takes a turn most people never expect. The destruction is not the most interesting part. What is more interesting is what the rotation of the Earth has been quietly building inside you for your entire life, and for every life that came before yours, stretching back billions of years. Your cells know what time it is. Not as a metaphor, literally. Every cell in your body contains a set of genes called clock genes, molecular timekeepers that run on a cycle of almost exactly 24 hours. Your liver produces enzymes on a schedule. Your immune system has peak hours. Your brain consolidates memory during specific windows of sleep. All of it is synchronized to the rhythm of a spinning planet. Scientists call this the circadian clock, and what research over the last 2 decades has confirmed is that it is not a background feature of your biology. It is load-bearing infrastructure. Disrupt it consistently, and the consequences reach into metabolism, immune function, mental health, and long-term disease risk. The rotation of the Earth is not scenery. It is the metronome your entire body has been tuned to for billions of years of evolution, which raises a question the 5-second scenario quietly opens. What if the spin had been slowing all along? It has been. Tidal friction from the moon is continuously stealing angular momentum from Earth's rotation, lengthening the day at a rate of about 1.4 milliseconds per century. That is imperceptible on a human timescale, but across geological time, it is enormous. 4 billion years ago, a day on Earth lasted roughly 6 hours. The planet spun so fast that the equatorial atmosphere could barely stay attached. The earliest life, single-celled organisms clinging to the edges of shallow seas, evolved in a world of rapid, violent light-dark cycles. As the planet gradually slowed, life adapted, generation by generation, epoch by epoch, each iteration of the circadian clock rewritten slightly, always chasing the same target: the rhythm of the planet beneath it. The clock inside your cells is not the original design. It is the latest version of a biological technology that has been continuously updated across 4 billion years of planetary history, always synchronized to a spin that has never fully stopped. This is what the 5-second thought experiment is actually revealing. Not just the fragility of the physical world, though that fragility is real and measurable and should not be dismissed. What it reveals is the depth of the entanglement between your biology and this planet's motion. You did not choose to be synchronized to Earth's rotation. You were built by it. Every system in your body that operates on a schedule, every hormone that rises and falls on a daily rhythm, every organ that knows when to work and when to rest, exists because a planet has been spinning at a particular rate for long enough that life had no choice but to match it. The 5 seconds of stopped rotation would send mega tsunamis across ocean basins and shockwaves through city skylines. Those consequences are physically accurate and genuinely staggering. But the quieter revelation is this: the reason 5 seconds would be so catastrophic is not simply that the forces are large, it is that everything, the atmosphere, the oceans, the climate, the tides, and the biological clocks inside every living cell on the surface has been organized around the assumption that the spin continues. Remove it for even a moment, and the debt becomes visible all at once. You began this moment moving at 1,600 kilometers per hour, and deep inside your cells, clock genes are counting the seconds, as they always have, synchronized to a rotation that was ancient before the first complex life appeared, before the first ocean formed, before the first breath of oxygen entered this atmosphere. The Earth is spinning, and you were shaped by every second of it.